Peace and power. This is Brother Sype once again with another episode of Strategies of Manhood. I got two special guests with me today. I have Brother E and I have Brother Warlock. Both of these brothers are going to help us critique a video clip that I received and saw today that I thought was very important for us to get an understanding about. Plus, it also kind of leads on from the last video that I dropped. In the last video that I dropped last week, I talked about, I expressed, a sister asked me a question, why is it so difficult for me to find the right man? And I talked about the problems in men, and I touched on the little problems in women. But this is a two-way street, and this is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Brother, will you play the clip for us?
Rules for a successful marriage. What are the rules for a successful marriage?
You have to find the right person. Then they have to be very nice to you. They have to buy you everything you want, like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Prada, and all those big names.
Why is that important?
Because you want to spoil your wife.
Okay. What do you have to do as a wife?
Just wear the stuff.
Now, the reason we choose this clip, and don't misunderstand, the little girl is probably anywhere ranging between 9 to 11 years old. So we're not under the illusion that she knows what she's talking about. We're not under that illusion that she even knows what Prada or any of those things are. But it shows you something about the basic thinking and the thought process that she's getting from the women around her. Based on what she just said, she believes at this young age, at this point in time, based on what she's seen from the adult women around her, that a man's job is to spoil his wife. And the way that you spoil your wife is to buy your wife a whole bunch of homosexual Italian designer clothes and big names, according to what she just said, and that the wife's job was just to look cute and wearing it. That's all she had to do. That's her complete responsibility. And last week I did a video where the sister asked, why is it so hard to find the right man? Well, when men are going out into society and they're coming in contact with women that has this belief that it's your job to break your back on a job, make all the money that you can figure out that you can try to make, and then go buy the big name designer clothes for her just to look pretty in, and her only responsibility to the marriage is to wear the stuff, then that is a problem. How can you have a good family or proper community in that type of situation? I'm gonna say this, and then I'm hoping one of the brothers chime in. But most women believe that it's a man's duty, that he's not even being a man unless he's providing. I done seen too many sisters on Facebook and other social media saying that the men of old times made it where the woman didn't have to have a job. What they're failing to realize is that the men of old times didn't even want the woman to have a job. Her place was in the home. He wanted her to be barefoot, pregnant, cleaning, cooking, period, point blank. And when you understand that and you understand why, that was so that she could not have any power in the relationship. She couldn't leave when she wanted to because she had no home, no money. She had absolutely nothing. So that took away from her power. So that idea that a man's job was just to take care of a woman is an old, antiquated, outdated paradigm. It's old-fashioned. It no longer applies to today's society, where a woman can work, where a woman is educated, where a woman can have a bank account and have all the things, quote unquote, that a man has. That ideal is completely outdated. There's no reason for that idea to be expressed now. But women still hold on to that part of the idea and throw away the other part. Do exactly what I tell you to do. Don't talk back. A woman should be seen and not heard. Those were some of the ideas that went with that idea that a man was supposed to take care of a woman. Right. And women want to throw that idea, that part of it away, but they want to hold on to take care of me. I feel like a man, and then the young sister, and I'm gonna pass the mic to one of you brothers, but the young sister said this. She said that because a man is supposed to spoil his wife. I clean my icebox once a week. Anything spoiled or look like it's going to be spoiled, I throw out. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about what a refrigerator is, a refrigerator's purpose is to maintain food for a longer amount of time. So why would I to preserve? Why would I create a situation, a comfort zone to preserve something that's spoiled? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense when you think of what the whole terms mean. Anything spoiled is no good.
Right.
Anything spoiled can make you sick if you eat it.
Correct.
Why do I want a spoiled woman a part of my kingdom? Why would I want that? I want anything spoiled to be tossed out in the trash can. I want everything in my life to be fresh. It needs to be new. It needs to be able to provide life. That's the way I'm looking at these things. Why do I want a spoiled woman? Only thing I feel like another human being should be able to taken care of is somebody that's mentally unequipped to deal with reality. They're physically infirm. They're old. They're children or they're pets. That's the only thing that I think a man should have to take care of. That's it. If he's dealing with a woman, to me, in my thinking, a woman is supposed to be his partner, his helpmate. And she's supposed to help balance out what it is that he's trying to build. They're supposed to be able to come together, unite together, build together, and accomplish things together. If she got the same grind and the same hustle that he has, then maybe they can build something together. But if she just another dead weight, what's the point in having her? But what are you brothers' ideas on this video and these thoughts?
You married.
All right, I'll jump in first here. So, going back to something Brother Sykes said in dealing with the idea of something being spoiled, we have to understand the dysfunctionality that's been interjected in here. So, it's really what it is it's a form of weaponizing the household against itself. So, first, you have the idea of saying that this is a rule for a successful marriage, number one. So, what makes this a rule? So you have to think about that. The idea of spoiling, whether we talking about a woman, a man, anything, the whole thing of spoiling is to deal with something in beyond excess. It's to have over excess, that's overabundance. You should not have an overabundance of any material. So from that standpoint, now what you're doing is you're baiting the household with a concept of consumption. And not only are you baiting the household with a consumption, but what you're doing is by tailoring that spoil concept to the woman. Now, basically, what she becomes is a flunk piece for other men. It's for one man to show other men something in terms of something he done acquired. So the woman basically goes back to being a tool to lust for. And you want to be able to portray and promote that within the society as being like a treasure or something you hold captive. So the whole point of spoiling it is to create that abundance of over exhilarating something that is only there to be looked upon and viewed from the standpoint of lackluster. And that is not the place of a balanced relationship. No, whether we're talking the male or the female, the concept of showing something off for the sake of creating a lustful desire is not the purpose of a relationship. So that dysfunctionality in itself is a super negative thing that's being portrayed. And the idea that the child is being done to portray that is part of the hidden aspect of the weapon I'm talking about it. Because now that those words are coming from a child, it becomes cute. And since it's cute, now everybody basically takes their guard down and they are willing to accept that message. And the audience laughs at it, people like it, and they think that's something neat. And so she basically becomes rewarded for being able to create and project and promote dysfunctionality. And not only that, as she being portrayed that way, then she grows up with that mentality of thinking that this is her place in society. But when you position yourself in a place in society to be a trophy piece, then how do you at the same time turn around and ask to be treated equally? How do you at the same time turn around and expect to be recognized for having intellectual ability? And see, that's where you get into the dynamics of dealing with the dysfunctional aspect of it. You want to throw something on that, Brother E?
I mean, I don't know what more. Well, I guess there's a lot more to say about it. I'm not sure exactly where to start. Y'all remember the old school video games back in the day when we were kids? You go and have to put the quarter in it to play it.
Yeah.
So all of this nonsense for me is a part of the weaponization, this gender confusion, and back generations ago, there was, for all of its other social ills, there was a place to some degree. Men knew their place, women knew their place in the broader white community as well as in our communities. At this point in time, because everything has been so convoluted, no one knows anything. No one knows their place at all, male or female. Part of the issue was the opening up of the workforce and making it so that, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, all of that, when women really started being flushed or brought out into the workforce to help support the war effort and all of that around World War II, men had new competition. So now men are competing against women, which affected the overall job market, as well as this competition between men and women. The reality of it is, you go further and further back. At one point in time, it was not a sin to say a woman needs to know her place. Just as a man needs to know his place. Right. Any organism, in order for it to survive, from a one-celled organism to the most complicated organism on Earth, everything has to play its part. If it doesn't, the organism dies. And I think a lot of confusion comes from the whole women's lib and ERA, and basically a lesbian recruiting ground for white women to recruit black women into the whole lesbian lifestyle. Because the reason I brought up the video games is, if I go to the video game store, the arcade, back in the day, and I have two dimes and a nickel, and I have a quarter, and I want to go play a video game, there's only one of those scenarios, one of those setups that has any real value in that situation. They both have the same monetary equivalency, but they don't have the same value, because in order for me to play a video game, I need a quarter, not 2 dimes and a nickel.
Right.
Women have been tricked into thinking that they want to be treated like men. You don't want to be treated like men. No woman in this world wants me to treat them the way I treat y'all. Dudes
consciously
fart around each other, talk harsh, say the wrong thing all the time. No woman wants to be around that. But so what they're confusing is, I want to be treated like a man. What they're meaning to say, I think, no woman wants that. What a woman wants is to be valued for her intrinsic value. Yeah. She wants to be valued for what it is she brings to the table. But they've been tricked into thinking that means, be treated like a man. Yahoo CEO is a woman. Lockheed Martin's CEO is a woman. There are CEOs all around. Oprah Winfrey is a billionaire. There are several women on Forbes' billionaire list. But women still having issues. So women moving up in the workplace and breaking these glass ceilings and being treated like men has done nothing, because the essence of what womanhood is still not valued. And things like this just shows that the further confusion about what it is that is of value to bring to a relationship, and the materialization, the materialistic mindset that so many, especially sisters, unfortunately, have been brought into. And it even affects over the men. I've never met a dude that's put really nice rims on his ride, got it painted up, and got the nice outfit and everything to impress other dudes.
Yep.
He's looking to impress a woman.
Right.
And at one point, and that's fine, that's natural. The peacock, it's the male with the pretty fantail and everything, because it's the male that has to convince the woman to allow him to plant his seed. But that's been weaponized and monetized into society, so that so there's a real rational foundation for it, but it's been just so bastardized in this society that we don't realize it for what it is. And so it gets manipulated, and little sisters like this that are going to grow up with this false concept, and then with so many brothers not being able to perform on that level, who are they going to go to? And then the flip side of it is, I'm going to be honest with you, sisters keep coming with me with that nonsense, I'll fool around and go find a white girl. Y'all are tripping. I would like to have a woman in my life. Would prefer a sister, but if over and over and over again, I keep finding finding the same nonsense, you're not gonna keep going to the pool, just like sisters not gonna keep going to the pool, or sisters turn around and flip over into that women's led movement and get turned out and all of that nonsense. So I think all of that feeds into that, and this is just this is a glowing example of how this BS, just like you see the little sisters at the family reunion twerking and whatnot. She 8 years old,
right.
Can't read for shit, don't know math, but she's
sad.
twerking.
That's super
And
sad.
she's having sex on the dance floor is what
Right.
she's doing,
Right.
and people applaud it. And our morals and values are just that fucked up that it's funny when she says she wants a dude to get her product, not a dude that's going to help raise her children, not a dude that's going to give a nice, decent home, not a dude that's going to protect the home, not a man that's going to take care of a man's place and responsibilities, because it is his place. It's the son's responsibility to define her cosmos, to define her universe, and her being the master of the plane is to take care of that plane. She takes care of the family, he takes care of the whole. She takes care of the children, he takes care of the whole. But we're not able to do that in part because of the whole rat race, and sisters, for what it's worth, are more amenable to getting entry into corporate world positions and whatnot, and positions of power, because they are less of a threat physically. I mean, that's just the way it is. So yeah, it makes sense that she would say some nonsense like that.
Yeah, to me, it just caters toward, again, the whole aspect of promoting and creating an environment that just lends more and more to certain types of dysfunctionality, so that you can maintain us as blacks in our role in being the consumers of the world. And so that is why these products are even thrusted on us and looked and viewed upon as something of work. So in order to attract, like we was talking about, a woman from that perspective, then you have to be interested in the purchase of these items and goods that don't do anything in terms of actually building or contributing to society, for us to get out of the position of being enslaved, to get out of the position of being inferior. Because what should be attracting and what should create a unified family structure is having two people, masculine and feminine energy, that actually builds, that architects and grows something, from a natural perspective, not from the standpoint of what I can buy for you and what you can acquire so that you can afford to keep me. So it's just complete, a complete 180 degree concept flip in terms of our mental capacity and what kind of things we should be valuing. And it is to me, it is an actual socialization attack upon our people, the way we think, the way we are, and how they want us to design ourselves and what creates value for us to keep us enslaved. That's all I got to say on that one.
Now I'm going to ask you a question. Since you back there, they can't see you, but they can hear you. Because there are going to be women, they're gonna chime in on this, and you have the ability right now to give the females voice and the females' point of view.
Put me on the spot. Well,
So this is what I want to ask you. Do you got a perspective that you want to give before I ask the question? The question is, because the little sister said that the man's job is to spoil his wife. How do you feel about, as a woman, being honest, not trying to appeal to us and our thoughts, from a woman's perspective, how do you feel? What do you think about that? Do you think it's a man's job to spoil his wife?
No, I don't think it's a man's job to spoil his wife. I mean, give or take, yes, a woman do want her man or husband, boyfriend, or whomever to surprise her with gifts or whatnot, but that's not his job to just surprise us. It's more to it than just surprises and spoiling.
So what do y'all mean by spoiling? Y'all use that a lot. What does that term mean to y'all?
Well, when a woman says spoiled, it does mean she wants him to take care of her. She wants gifts. She wants to go out. She wants all of those things. It don't have to be Gucci or Prada, Louis Vuitton, or any of those things. But that means that, yes, she wants gifts on a regular. That's what that means. He's taking care of her needs. If she wants something, he's taking care of that without having to beg him to do so.
Let me jump in on something I think that is confused in terms of how they are able to weaponize that. The idea is, what I'm hearing is that a woman wants to feel appreciated. A woman wants to feel like she is valued within that relationship. That don't necessarily mean spoiled. So the word of appreciation has been exchanged for the concept of being spoiled. Because I can flourish my woman with love. I can flourish my woman with gifts and make her feel valued, make her feel appreciated, make her continue that bond within that relationship of being a caregiver, of being the woman that helps reflect that light that's brought forward. And the idea here is that also a woman loves to feel that she's in a stable environment. What a man brings, that masculine energy brings, is a stability. So a woman wants to feel that she's in an environment that is stable. The problem we have is that words get interchanged and exchanged for something, and it creates that dysfunctionality. Spoiled don't have to even be included in that equation to make that woman feel loved, to make that woman feel appreciated. The idea of spoiled being exchanged for that appreciation is where we get the weaponization to bring in the consumerism that causes that man to have to work overtime and causes that man to have to work way beyond his means and live beyond his means, because now you've interjected a concept of keeping up with the Joneses. Such and such wife has this. Now I want to have this. I'm not viewed upon in a society as being as good of a woman if I'm not able to dress the same way this person does. This is the same mess they use on us on all levels of consumerism, especially around the quote unquote holidays or holidays. Because if your child or your wife or your whatever significant other doesn't have the same level of flourishment that the next door neighbor has, then the grass is greener. By the grass being greener, now you got to go out and you got to get more fertilizer, and you got to compete with the next perspective in order to try to also make someone else feel more value. So our placement in terms of what we define as value within a household and the structure is warped, is retarded. And so that point, we channel down this endless race that we can never ever win at, of always being in the level of consumption. Because this year, that version of Gucci bag has then came out. Well, next year they're gonna pop out a whole nother line. And that next line is just going to be something different. So now it can't the older last year model can't compete with this year's model. And you will never win that race. That's why it is the rat race. That's why we are caught in this concept of an endless cycle of consumption. So we have to realize that is the weapon that's being used against us, and reform balance within our family structure again.
And to tag on to what Brother Ward just said, I think it's very important to think about the words you just used. And the words you used were the things that she wants, the things that she needs. And they talked about that value, but you're equating value to what he can give you as far as material things. And we can't equate that. We can't always equate value to a gift, a material thing, or going out. You know, sometimes the greatest things that a person can give is time and knowledge. Maybe sitting down, there's an old picture of Malcolm X standing in front of his family, his little girls or babies at the time, and his wife is holding one of the babies, and he has a book open, and it's showing him in his role as a teacher and building with his family. And sometimes those are the things that have value, because it's more valuable if a man can teach you how to economically organize your home than it is if he gave you a new bag or a new purse. It's more valuable if a man has the ability to create a garden in y'all backyard, or to buy y'all a house, or to show y'all how to organize y'all finances so that y'all have multiple streams of income constantly coming in to give y'all years and years of security, and not only years of security, but legacies that you could pass down, because that's how nations are built, than it is for him to buy the newest car.
Right. Don't create a bag lady.
Yes, and that's what happened to a lot of women. He needs to give me this. He needs to give me that. And he's constantly giving you this and giving you that. What about the bills? What about the electric bill and the water bill and the rent being paid? And women feel like that they need to be taken care of, but doesn't the average woman in today's society have a job as well?
Yes.
So why does she need to be taken care of if she's working and if she's making a paycheck?
Because that's why you have it again, that spoil. When they have it spoiled and they can go out, even though they can go out and buy them themselves, they still want their man to do it.
So
Some women are selfish like that. I mean, you have women, they don't look at the knowledge or the effort the man put into the household, to the other things that he might do. If he's working overtime, they're not looking at that. Whatever he has to do to provide for the home and herself or their family, most women don't look at that. They just want it all, they're all for themselves and what he can bring materialistically to the household, to her.
That's appreciation redefined.
Yeah, and
that's
that's why they
what we're
have
saying.
it so
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
words are redirected like that. So they grow up and they being taught, oh, spoil, spoil, spoil. They don't realize you need to show your man, your boyfriend, your husband, I appreciate you. If your man bring you something, he's showing you that he appreciates you in different many ways. There are more ways than material things.
I think it's a matter of the broader question. It's the same thing. The value has been turned outward.
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah.
one, male or female, looks inward anymore to find value. It has to have a price tag on it. It has to have some external meaning or significance in order for it to be worthwhile. And that, I mean, that's the root of really all of it. I mean, if you address that and people begin finding value in self and the growth and the evolution that we're supposed to experience in this life, things will be on a much greater track. But this system can't exploit that. You know, if a person is going into self and finding value,
Right.
you can't find inner value at Macy's. You know, it don't have a Gucci price tag on it. It's not none of that. So we, like I said, just like everything else, it's a constant attempt to keep us focused on the external rather than dwelling on what's within.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and back in Kemet, they used to say, if you make yourself the subject of intense study, you'll find God. You know, and that same idea flows throughout even religion. Everybody's looking to a book or a church or someplace out there as opposed to going within. Looking for value, go out there as opposed to within. It's just a constant focus outward. And then, you know, they're essentially destroying our relationship from the ground up. You go to the schools, it's offensive in the society to suggest that boys and girls should not go to school together. But there are observable benefits from having little boys and little girls not in the same classroom.
Correct.
You ain't got to worry about little boys pulling girls' hair and, you know, messing with the girls, or, you know, flirting and getting over sexualized and all of these other things. That and the fact that males and females think and learn differently. You know, the whole idea of being different is a bad word. You know, everybody talks about, diversity and blah, blah, blah. But then you start talking about the differences, everybody has a heart attack. You know, everybody wants to freak out. But the reality of it is there are things that women are more valuable for. There are things that men are more valuable for. If you want to go to war, you want some fellas on your side. I don't care what you say. I want dudes on my back. If there's an issue, my child needs, you know, some type of care and is sick and blah, 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 I would rather have a woman because, perfect example, women, this idea of women having a career is such nonsense. The first and best doctors in the world are mothers. Just from an ancient perspective. Mm-hmm. Who took care of the family when somebody was sick? The mama, the grandmama. So going out to a college to get a degree, again, is just an outward focus. You go to somebody else, pay them a huge amount of money for them to give you a receipt or degree, whichever you want to call it, so that you can go somewhere and say, now I'm a doctor. And really, even then, you don't know anything about doctoring, about, you know, healing anybody. But you do all of that to go to the doctor. When in reality, a woman is just as valuable, even more valuable in the home, providing for the family, making sure the family is not ill. And that is, in some sense, in some views, an even greater value. But this idea that she has to go and get the European, you know, blessing to go and do what it is that's a part of her makeup just by design. This is what she does. This is her essence. This is, you know, it all comes from her. She knows it better than anyone. It should be her role, and she should be valued for that, you know. Right. And that's been taken away. And when it's taken away, of course she's going to look for some place to find some value, to find somebody to say, yes, you're valuable. And she can go to the workplace and get it, or get some Gucci or Prada or whatever, and get a even a superficial blessing, she's gonna go for it. It just makes sense.
Well, I'm gonna build on one last thing before we conclude this episode. I love Proverbs. Love Proverbs, and I'm gonna tell you why I love it. I don't love it in the sense of I believe it's a undebatable, undisputable book that flew out of the cloud somewhere. I believe in the philosophical value of it. Anyway, I'm gonna give a little history of it, and then I'm gonna get to the point of where I'm going to go to. The book of Proverbs, this what happened historically. You will hear that King Solomon was considered the wisest king that ever lived. And Queen Makeda, that was her name in Ethiopia. You'll know as Queen of Sheba. But Queen Makeda heard of the guy. She knows she valued wisdom, valued knowledge. So she said, man, let me go check dude out and see if he is wise as they say he is. So she took her caravan up to what we call Israel now. She took her caravan up there, visited King Solomon, liked the dude. You know, they did what grown-ups and adults do when they like each other. You know.
I don't know anymore.
They did their thing.
I've forgotten.
Queen Makeda went back home, Queen of Sheba. Now the reason they called her the Queen of Sheba because Seba was the capital city of Ethiopia. We would call Abyssinia at the time. Was the capital city of Ethiopia at the time. So they automatically called her the Queen of Sheba. Like you call somebody the governor of Texas or the president of the United States. They called her the Queen of Sheba. So she went back home, realized she was pregnant, and she sent a message up to King Solomon, told him, hey, you're having a son. The son name was Menelik. And just to veer off path for a minute, Menelik is the bloodline that Rastafarians claim descent from, and therefore claiming to be the tribe of Judah. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just thought that was a historical point that was interesting. But back to the point, she was having a son named Menelik. Told Solomon, you got a son down here. So what Solomon did was he got some of his partners who was other kings, some other wise men. He set them down. He said, hey, you know, I have a son on the way. He going to have to lead down there. So I want to send him some wise Jews. And he sat down and he took these Jews, and we know these Jews today as the book of Proverbs. Mm-hmm. If you look at the book, there are certain chapters that will say, this is King Anu, this is King such and so, this is King such and so. Mm-hmm. Linda, will you do me a favor and give me that men's Bible off the shelf over there? But Proverbs 31 says, this is King Lemuel. And it didn't say this one for the paraphrase. And the game his mama gave him. That's basically what Proverbs 31 said. Right. This is King Lemuel and what his mother taught him. And I'm going to show y'all this Proverbs 31 because I like it. And women use it a lot. And I saw this sister, women use it a lot. Now, I understand I'm not getting super religious. This is not a religious study. When I deal with scripture, I deal with it like I would the Analects of Confucius, the Doctrine of the Mean, the Order of War by Sun Tzu, anything that you can get some wisdom from. But in this, it says that, let me see where to start at. Let me tell you what wife. It says the wife of noble character. But it says a wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with her eager hands. She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still dark, so she up early, for the sun ain't even rose. She gets up while it's still dark. She provides food for her family and portions for her servant girls. She considers her fields and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. So she got up early, and she's still up late at night, still working. Mm-hmm. Everything I just read, it says she did some real estate investment. She done planted some gardens and everything, right? She did all this. It says, in her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. Mm-hmm. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. I'm not going to keep reading all the things that it says that the virtuous woman does, but the point is, and you can go check it for yourself, nowhere does it says, and she lays up on her behind and gets spoiled. Right. Nowhere does it says that. Matter of fact, it says she's a hustler. The whole way through, it's telling me that she's steady grinding, making something happen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So either your good book is dead wrong, or it might be some nice points that women might need to go in there and study and figure out what are they saying to me.
Yeah. See, those
Yeah.
are jewels being dropped.
Those are Jews, without a doubt. I appreciate y'all for listening. You brothers got anything else y'all want to say?
Good.
I appreciate y'all for listening. Stay tuned to Every Strategy of Manhood. Share the link. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you can know whenever we drop something. We're going to always try to give you the best content possible. Peace.